You know how French women just kind of seem hotter and happier than the rest of us? Well, I really want some of that energy in my life. So I decided we're gonna make a very French-inspired meal, but we're gonna make it lighter, we're gonna make it plant-based, and we're all just gonna channel that effortlessly chic French girl vibe. I want to make a soup, and usually when I add beans into soup, I just use canned beans just for convenience. But today I really wanted to do dried beans. So I've been soaking these beans overnight, and apparently, according to ChatGPT, this is not something I knew myself, they don't take that long to cook once they've been soaked. It's only like 45 minutes. But if you have them in with acids, apparently that can make them take longer to cook. And listen, the show isn't gonna be like 8 hours long. So what we're gonna do instead is we're gonna parboil them. I have my soaked and rinsed beans here. We're gonna add a couple of pieces of kombu. This is because it actually helps break down some of the sugars and fibers that cause gassiness from beans. Who doesn't want that? And I'm just gonna add water, and I'm gonna parboil all this while we do everything else. Okay, while those beans parboil, we're gonna get the base of our soup going. So I'm just gonna turn this on and hopefully not catch on fire. Woo! A little avocado oil spray. And I already chopped my onions so that you don't have to watch me do it for 20 hours. I should have let this heat up. Let's give it a minute to heat up while we just chit chat. So honestly, this meal, it's so not Hiba coded. I mean, it is in that it's going to be light and yummy and whatever, pretty yada, yada, yada. But I just mean, I don't usually do kind of more European flavors. I feel like I really tend to gravitate towards a lot of Asian flavors. And then after that, maybe Middle Eastern. I was gonna say Mediterranean, but there are plenty of Mediterranean countries in Europe, so that doesn't really fit my logic. Yeah, this is kind of outside of my wheelhouse, but honestly, last weekend we were visiting some friends in Connecticut, and we went to this really beautiful French restaurant, and I had a salad that was good. We're gonna get back to the salad later, but I had these really amazing veggies. Like, they just made me this little veggie plate, and I enjoyed it so much. And I just really enjoyed the vibes and watching everyone else's meals. So I was like, I feel like I could do something kind of French inspired, but just make it a little bit more blushy, if you will. All right, this is ready for the onions. So this is a fuck ton of onions. I don't even know. I think it was like 2 really big onions that I diced up. Usually I do 1 onion as a soup base, but I just really wanted a lot of onions in this one. So we're just gonna saute. I'm just gonna grab a bit of thyme. This was fresh thyme, but now it's really dry. So I'm just gonna pull some of that off and add it to the onions. Yeah, I really do feel like French food is so like outside of how I usually cook and eat. But ever since the French bistro in Connecticut incident, I've been reminded of this article that I read when I was little. I mean, I wasn't like a kid, but I was kind of a preteen who would always read teen magazines and stuff. And by the way, that thyme smells so good. So, I should be doing something. So we're gonna add leeks to this once the onions go down a little bit, so I may as well chop them. Now, I'll be real with you. I tried to get everything as fresh as possible. And that's in large part because that's just how I like to eat. But it's also in part because I just watched this thing on Netflix with Alice Waters, who I guess is a well-known chef. I was not familiar with her work. And I've actually never watched, it's a chef's table. I think that's what the Netflix show is called. I've actually never watched it before, but when they do those little, you know how they do the preview thing or like the things they recommend to you? I saw someone talking about some salad, and I was like, well, I like salads. And she's like, yeah, no one's ever had a salad like this before. And I was like, I mean, okay. So I just was really, really curious, honestly. So I did put it on. Apparently she's a very well-known chef. I just don't know people. It's not like I'm not doubting her well-knownness. I just like literally don't know people. Like I don't know who people are. So I was not familiar with her work. So anyway, she apparently a big thing of hers is, let me just get this flame a little bigger. Or is it this way that it gets bigger? Ooh, yeah. Okay, let's do that. So a big thing of hers is an emphasis on really fresh produce. And she said that when she, I think after college, she went to France for a bit, and that's really where she fell in love with cooking and stuff. And she had never seen a farmer's market, and she just realized everything tastes so much better in France because it's so much fresher, which is interesting because I don't really think of France as like a big fresh produce country, but that's neither here nor there. And her big thing is, you know, sourcing from local farms, and she set up this whole network of farmers or some shit. Apparently her restaurant has, for dessert, they'll just bring you a bowl of fruit. Like it's literally just a bowl of fruit, but the thing is it's meant to be like the best bowl of fruit you would ever have because it's so fresh and stuff. Anyway, so I did try to source really fresh ingredients with the exception of these leeks, which I bought from Trader Joe's, because Trader Joe's trims their leeks and it just makes the cleaning process so much easier. And I think that we all have to do what we can where we can. The salad is gonna be fresh as fuck, okay? But this, you know, we're doing our best. But yeah, I remember reading this article. See, I'm so good at swinging back through the tangents these days. I feel like that's a skill I've really developed this past year. But yeah, going back to that article, I remember reading this article that was like, how are French women so thin when their food is all butter and cheese and bread and stuff? And I guess the answer was, I'm just gonna throw the leeks in because whatever, there are no rules. It's our own show. We can do it however we want. Their answer was that basically, I mean, I don't remember all of it, but it was just a lot about how they end up eating less because they enjoy everything that they do. There's like so much pleasure in it and they're just like happier and they're not sitting around overeating because of that. And I really co-signed that message. That being said, we're not gonna do butter and cheese in this meal. It's still gonna feel so decadent, but I'll show you little tricks of how I lighten things up a little bit. And most of that is just by letting the flavors of the vegetables shine through. I'll start chopping up some carrots. That's all that we're gonna saute. I'll add some garlic after the carrots if I don't forget. But that's all that we're gonna saute, and then the rest of it is just gonna, like, I don't know, simmer, boil, whatever. It's not gonna saute though. I used avocado oil because it has a high smoke point, and so it's really great for sauteing. And I buy it in that spray bottle. Honestly, it's such a racket, like it's such a waste of money to buy it in the spray bottle. But the reason that I do it is because I bought my own, well, okay, I like it in a spray bottle because you can evenly coat your pan and use way less oil than if you were to just pour it in. So that's why I like the spraying mechanism. But I tried to buy my own oil sprayer and just fill it up myself, and it gets clogged. And all the reviews of every sprayer I found say the same thing, that they just stop working eventually. So now I just buy the stupid spray bottles. I mean, it's actually the markup that you pay on that is pretty nutty, but you know, you do what you can. You do what you can. I think that's the theme of this episode. By the way, I'm not peeling my carrots. You can. The reason I'm not is because I washed them really well, and the skins just have so many nutrients because that's where they were underground. So long as there's no visible dirt, I don't peel them. The only time I peel my carrots is when I'm serving guests and the carrots are raw, especially on a crudité platter or something like that. But when it's just me or just me and Ozzy, I don't bother. This smells so good between the onions and the leeks and the thyme. Woo, obsessed, although I am getting pretty hot in this cashmere. I love how I chose to use, I have no fewer than 450 cutting boards, but of course I choose to use the most comically small cutting board that I own. Actually, that's not true. I own one that's smaller, so at least I didn't grab that one. Anyway, I really don't want to see any comments about how my hair doesn't look good. I did my best, okay? I thought it looked really cute, but it's my first time doing this hairstyle and I have not nailed doing it. Yeah, whatever. The food will slap and that should be all that matters. Oh my God, it's really hot in front of this thing. I'm actually kind of starting to sweat. Might have to call an audible. I'm gonna move the pot back to the stove though once we're done sauteing all this dog shit. Yeah. Alrighty, let me grab some garlic so we can add that in, and then we'll do more of the soup base. Okay, I have the garlic. I also grabbed some black pepper. We're gonna crack it directly in this and saute, saute, saute. So this soup is actually inspired by a French rustic vegetable soup that comes with a pesto on top. We're gonna make our own version of that. I don't think that there's ever really a very strict recipe for this soup. I can't remember what it's called. I think that different regions and places do it differently, but we're gonna have a very tomato base to this because that's just what I'm obsessed with these days. Like, I really can't get enough of it. Like, I mean, I feel like you've heard me talk about it a lot. I'm just fucking obsessed with soup right now. I don't know how much garlic I'm doing. I think it's like 5 or so cloves. Maybe I'll add a few more. I'm gonna start using whole garlic, I think. Honestly, I used to be so much more intense about only shopping at the farmer's market and only buying local, organic. And then I would say last year in 2025 is when I really started to pull away from that a lot more and just be like, whatever, I'm gonna buy things that are more affordable or easier. But I don't know, watching that Alice Waters thing, I love how I literally had no idea who she was before, and now I'm like changing everything because of it. But I do think there's some there, and I know with garlic, the flavor is so much better when you just buy whole garlic. It's just the process of peeling garlic that really turns me off. But I feel like it has to get there. Alrighty. Ooh, yeah. Okay, not too long left until we're gonna move this thing back. Hell yeah, that smells so fucking good now with the garlic too. Holy shit. So we are gonna add potatoes and green beans, but I'm not gonna saute those. Those are just gonna go in the broth. I'm just gonna cut them up right now while all this is going. By the way, I feel like I should check on my beans. I don't know. They haven't even reached a boil. So the good thing about this soup is everything is so forgiving. Like, you can really kind of do whatever you want. And also there is no overcooking anything. Like, I'm really not concerned about the potatoes being overcooked. I am using waxy potatoes rather than starchy potatoes because this is not gonna be a pureed soup. It's gonna be a chunky kind of rustic soup. And the waxy potatoes hold their shape better. If you want a more creamy, pureed soup, I would recommend using starchy potatoes for that because they'll just break down and then thicken up the whole soup. But yeah, we don't really have to worry about overcooking anything. So it's like not even a recipe, truthfully. I'm gonna do a lot of potatoes because I find potatoes to be just the ultimate comfort food. You know, there's this study or something that found that potatoes are the most satiating food on the planet. I think it's because they're so comforting and they feel so decadent, but you know, potatoes are actually quite light. Like, it's really kind of hard to gain weight eating potatoes. I mean, obviously you can gain weight if you overeat in calories, regardless of what those are. But people have such a fear of potatoes, like they think of it as such a decadent food. And some preparations of potatoes certainly are, like cough, cough, French fries. But for the most part, they're actually like a boiled or a steamed potato is so much lighter than things that you're eating that you think are probably really, really healthy. You know what I mean? Like even, I feel like over the years, people are constantly trying to find substitutes for potatoes because there's this, I'm not gonna use that. There's this narrative out there that potatoes are bad for you or you're gonna gain weight on potatoes. But the thing is, all those variations, and listen, a lot of them are veggies that I love. Like I love cauliflower so much. But if you're craving potatoes and you eat cauliflower, that's not gonna be a good experience for anyone. All right, I'm gonna go grab the tins of tomato. We're gonna dump that in. Get our potatoes in, get our green beans in, fill it with water, and then move it to the stove. Okay, we're gonna use these tomatoes. They're by Trader Joe's. They're the crushed fire roasted tomatoes. I like using San Marzano tomatoes and like the whole peel tomatoes, I really do, but I feel like the fire roasted ones have so much more flavor. I often will do one big can of fire roasted and one big can of San Marzano, but today we're just gonna do 2 big cans of the fire roasted and hopefully I can open this thing. Okay, there we go. Woo! Oh, great. Now in addition to all the sweat all over my face, I also have tomatoes all over my face. How fun is that for us? And another thing I'm gonna do is once my beans are, I don't know, doing something, bubbling up or something, I'm gonna ladle not only the beans into this pot, but also some of the cooking water, not all of it. I'm gonna take this tin because there's still residue left inside of it. I'm gonna pour the water in here and dump it in there. All right, I poured water into both of these. Let's do one. I can't wait to not have this thing in front of my face anymore. It is so hot. This camping stove is so much hotter than a real stove, but I will say food cooks a lot faster on it. I guess maybe in camping, you're not trying to dick around with food too much. You just wanna, I don't know, be under the stars or whatever it is that people do when they camp. I don't know. I've literally only camped at music festivals before, so. Drugs? Is that what people do? I'm just kidding. Really just kidding. Alrighty, let's do some green beans. Now, these are the French green beans. I'm not even gonna attempt to pronounce it, okay? I struggle enough with English, really not trying to add an entire language that I don't even fucking speak on top of this. What is it like? I am gonna attempt it. Is it haricot vert? I'm sure that's not it. It's so embarrassing. And again, I'm gonna call myself out on my own bullshit. I bought these bagged and trimmed because I fucking hate trimming the end of green beans. Now, would they taste better if I'd bought them from the farmer's market and they weren't trimmed? Yes, but I don't think there are green beans at the farmer's market this time of year. So that also kind of helps my case. Alrighty. I think this seems like a good amount. I'm scared there won't be room for anything else and we still have to get the beans in there too. So I'll cut it off here. Add some more of this Watra. Oh, that's a weird inside joke between Ozzy and I. So many of the things that I say are little dumb inside jokes of Ozzy and I, and I'm never mindful to not say them in front of other people. And the thing is, I would tell you what it means, but it means nothing. So, all right, we're gonna add a bit of salt to this guy and then cover it, and we're gonna move it to the stove in the back and just move on. I'm gonna do maybe like a tablespoon or so of salt. Can always add more salt later. And this is the Celtic sea salt. I really like it because it's really rich in minerals. All right, lid on. And she's moving to the stove and the inferno hell that I'm at is finally fucking over. I have these. How cute. I can link them. Look at that. Look at how it latches in. Oh, that's heavy. Oh my God, thank God I do solid core. Oh my God. Before we get to salad, we're gonna make a tea, which usually is the first thing that we do, our little beverage segment of the show. But I really had to get the soup on the stove so that I could just cook. So we're gonna do the tea now. Now this is a French herb. I'm probably gonna pronounce it incorrectly. I think it's vervain. Vervain, I'm sure is how the French say it. Just like that. I think it's similar to lemon verbena. It's supposed to be really good for calming the nervous system. And it's also really good for bloating and digestion. Who doesn't love that? So we're just gonna put a bunch of that into my little tea strainer. I really like this one. I'll link it. I got it on Amazon. The reason I like it so much is because the holes are microscopic. So you really don't get any herbs that pass through. I have like 6 billion tea strainers. This one is definitely not the chicest, but I still go back to it because it fucking works. Now my water is 95 degrees Celsius. I think anywhere between 90 to 100 degrees Celsius, which is boiling. So I think it's 212 is boiling in Fahrenheit, right? I don't know what 90 is in Fahrenheit, but I know 170, I think 175 is 80. So 90 is somewhere between 175 and 212. Let's say 200. That sounds about good to me. Oh my God, I'm reading this book right now. It's a science fiction book. I'm fucking obsessed with it. You've probably heard me talk about it. I literally can't shut the fuck up about it. And I'm not gonna say what it's called because I just wanna be able to talk about it and not spoil anything. But the human is on a spaceship. Ozzy makes fun of me so much. Every night I tell him little updates about what I'm reading in this book. And he's just like, wow, you are the biggest dork I've ever met in my life. Anyway, so this guy is in a spaceship. He's actually in a different solar system. Trying to find answers to this crisis that's going on Earth, and he's made contact with an alien. Hold on, I'm just gonna fill this up and put it back on because we need slightly warm water for something. Okay, so I just put the kettle back on. I put it on 40 degrees Celsius because we need warm water, but we don't need hot water for the next thing that we're gonna do. Actually, it's not the next thing, but whatever. Let me just finish this real quick. So, very important alien story. So he makes contact with this alien in a spaceship, and that alien is from an entirely different solar system, and it is so much smarter than us, like so much smarter, but it also kind of looks like a giant spider, and it basically has no head, it has no eyes, and its main sense is hearing. Fascinating. Anyway, the reason I just thought of it is because this alien is so smart that it can just convert units so quickly in real time. Me, not so much, but that alien, totally. Anyway, so let's get back to what we're gonna do for this tea. So while the tea steeps in here, and it really does not need very long, I'm going to slice up, I have some Meyer lemon here. You can use regular lemon. Honestly, the regular lemons at my store just kind of looked like dog shit. That's why I'm using the Meyer lemons. And I have some fresh mint. I really wanted to use spearmint, but I don't think there is any right now in this season. But spearmint is cool because it can really help with estrogen dominance. So if that's something that you deal with, I don't know if you've talked to your doctor about potentially trying spearmint for that. All right, I'm gonna use this cup. So let's just layer in. Maybe I'll do the whole thing. Why not? Why not? Food is meant to be eaten. Things are meant to be used, you know? I have such a kind of toxic trait of buying things that I love and then not using them because I seem to be saving them for something. It's something I've really worked on, I would say, over the past 10 years, but it's a habit that seems to die very hard for me. So I'm gonna do some fresh mint in this cup and just layer it with some lemon, more fresh mint, and a little more lemon. I think you understand where this is going now. And I'm gonna muddle it a tiny bit, not a ton. Mainly for the mint to release its aroma. Well, I guess for all of it. How fun is this? I kind of feel like a mixologist, except I am god awful at making cocktails. It's like, you would think I could do it. I'm so good at making food, you know, not to brag. And I'm really good at making like coffee type of drinks. And I don't know why. I think it's maybe because I don't really drink much and I don't like love alcohol. So it's just hard for me to know how to balance that flavor, if it makes sense. All right, I'm so excited to try this. By the way, this is, what's that type of glass called? I don't even know how it's pronounced. We should just rename the show. I don't know how it's pronounced. I think it's something like borsilicate glass. That's the thing. It's not that I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't even know what fucking letters are in it, but it's something to that effect. So it's very heat proof. I'm not 100% sure if you can pour water this hot into just any cup. Anyway, I'm gonna give it a minute to cool down before I drink it because I do not want to burn my whole fucking mouth. How pretty is she though? It just looks so fresh, which I guess is a big theme of this episode, you know, that intersection of fresh and decadent. Okay, should we try it? Oh, that's delicious. Now, am I mostly tasting lemon and mint? Yes. Is that probably because 90% of my cup was lemon and mint? Yes, but it's fucking good. In Persian medicine, mint is really big for bloating, especially if it's kind of gas kind of bloating. Isn't it funny how I feel like I'm so comfortable saying the word bloated, but I don't really like to say gas. Like I'm like, ooh, gross. No, I don't have gas, you know? I do, we all do. Well, let me check on this soup. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's bubbling. Well, since they're both bubbling, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna transfer some of the beans, or all of the beans, I should say, into here with some of the cooking water. I'm not gonna bring the kelp in. One nice thing about having long sleeves when you cook is you can kind of use them as pot holders and stuff. Okay, don't mind me just starting a whole fucking fire back here. Okay, we're gonna shift gears to the salad now. So we're gonna start with a salad dressing. I have 2 very small shallots. I'm just gonna chop those up a tiny bit. By the way, I am in a blender crisis right now. So both my blenders are broken. One, my Vitamix I've had for years, and I actually bought it secondhand. It's been having issues for years. I feel like I've talked about it a lot, so I'll just spare you all the details. So no Vitamix right now. And then my other blender had maggots in it. I do not want to talk about it. Please respect my privacy at this time. It was horrifying. So I will not be discussing that. So we're going to use a handheld immersion blender until, you know, I get some new fucking blenders. Okay, so this is where our warm but not hot water comes in. So let's do a 1/4 cup of that. Oh my God, watch this glass burst. No, it's fine, thank God. So this is 40 degrees Celsius. It's warm, it's not hot. We're gonna pour it over the shallots. Now, this is something I have never done before. I was reading about the salad at Via Carrata, this restaurant in the West Village that's supposed to be phenomenal. And apparently this is the secret to, their salad is very well known. And apparently the secret trick is that they let the shallots and the vinegar sit with hot water, which takes away some of the edge. I don't know. Yeah, that tea is stunning. Okay, so I have a bit of white wine vinegar left. So we'll use the rest of that. And then I'm just gonna add some red wine vinegar. Let's do maybe 1/3 of a cup of vinegar in total. So we'll just let those sit in there. I'm also using some dates. I'm gonna put in 3 dates. By the way, I've never made this dressing before. We're gonna see how it is together in real time. I'm just gonna let it sit in there and everything soften for a few minutes, and I'm just gonna drink my fucking tea. Okay, so quick intermission. I've been thinking a lot about this article that I read about the French girls, and I found that there was a book about this too. I think it's called like How French Women Stay Thin or something like that. I honestly wonder if the author of that article went on to write that book because it was like a wildly popular article. I have no idea. Anyway, I wanted to ask ChatGPT, hey, question. So when I was younger, I read this article. The title of the article was something like How French Women Stay Lean or Stay Slim, or I don't know, it was the early aughts. So I mean, it was maybe worded in a more toxic way, who knows? I know that there's a book on the subject, and I know there are probably many articles. Can you kind of summarize what they say? I'm gonna go grab some Dijon while chat gets back to me. Do you feel like chat is taking longer than ever these days, or is it just me? Now, I think that the best Dijon mustard objectively is that Meili brand. I'm sure that's not how it's pronounced. Again, I struggle enough with English. I think it's unreasonable to expect me to pronounce things correctly in French. But I personally, for my taste buds, love, love, love the Whole Foods organic Dijon mustard. It's a little more vinegary, which I think is why I like it more. But I think that the Meili brand is really, really good. And I know I shouldn't talk shit about other brands, but I think it's a lot better than Grey Poupon. Wait. Before I do this, I want to see what chat said. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Okay. They eat whole foods, not diet foods. They eat real bread, real cheese, blah, 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 blah. So food tastes satisfying and nutrient dense. Okay, so we already talked about that. They eat structured meals at structured times. No snacking, basically. They sit down, they turn eating into a ritual. Okay, I feel like these are all very blush-coded things that we talk about on this show. They prioritize pleasure, not restriction. Good for them. Can we have a quick detour and just talk about how I feel like the sex industry has co-opted the word pleasure? Like, I can't even say the word pleasure without feeling kind of like demure, like, ooh, I don't mean it like that, you know? Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they enjoy the food, so they end up eating less, enjoy quality over quantity. They walk a lot. They eat produce constantly. They drink water, not soda. They don't moralize food. So no guilt around bread, no guilt around dessert. They prioritize social eating. Yeah, I mean, that all tracks. Okay, so let's add maybe like, let's do a 1/4 cup of the Dijon. I'm not writing this down, so I feel like if it ends up being really good, which I intend for it to be really, really good, I'm gonna have to rewatch this episode to get the recipe. I usually write down all my recipes in a little notebook. Now, a traditional vinaigrette is 1 parts vinegar to 2 to 3 parts oil, which is great, but I do like to make a vinaigrette a little bit lighter. I feel like it's just not necessary for it to be that oil intense. And one of the tricks that I used for doing this is using a very intensely flavorful oil, so its flavor really shines through without you having to use a ton of it. So I have my immersion blender here. We're gonna blend this up before I even add oil. Okay, now usually I add miso to my dressings for salt, but we're not gonna do that for this one. I mean, I even do it in non-Asian-y recipes, but for this one, I just wanna grab salt. So I'm just gonna grab a little pinch of that Celtic salt that we used in, I think it was the soup. Where the fuck did I put it? All right, so I'm truly just gonna do a little pinchy pinch. Well, that's a huge pinch. A little pinch. I feel like the dates are not blended. Gotta get on that. So if I were doing a traditional vinaigrette ratio, like a lot more oil, I wouldn't even add the dates. The reason that I'm adding the dates is because they're gonna take away some of the sharpness of everything in there. The shallots, the vinegar, and the mustard all have a lot of intensity to them. The dates will help balance those flavors without having to add a ton of oil. At the end of the day, I'd rather use a few dates to do that because they have so much fiber, they have so many other nutrients, and they're just gonna be far lighter than a bunch of oil is, even though I don't think there's anything wrong with oil. Like I definitely have been in phases in my life where I would not have any oil because I was like, well, it's just, I would always say it's like worse than sugar because it's just one macronutrient extracted from the rest, except it has literally twice as many calories as sugar per gram. So why would it not be worse? And I still think that there's some truth to that, but I also don't think it like fucking matters that much. Like a little bit of oil can always make your food taste so much better, and that's so worth it. It's that like French girl thing, right? Like quality over quantity. Anyway, that being said, I do like to have a large quantity of dressing. So it is my first time using this oil, but it's supposed to be super, super pungent. It's high phenolic extra virgin olive oil. What does that mean? I don't know. I think it's really high in antioxidants. I think that's what it is, actually. I think we should do 1/3 of a cup. Yeah, it smells pretty good. I actually want to taste this before the oil even goes in. Yeah, see, that's delicious already. The warm water trick works because it's not nearly as sharp as it would be usually at this point. So I'm gonna have this running. That's actually one nice thing about using this immersion blender. And then I'm gonna slowly pour in the oil. All right, let's see how this is. Wow. Okay, to me, this tastes so oily. And it's not noticeably sweet at all, which I love because I didn't want to do, like I love a sweet kind of mustard-based dressing. I think it can be so delicious, but that's not the vibe that I wanted for this. I wanted something that doesn't taste like it's been sweetened at all. So the purpose of the dates in this truly are just to balance the flavors, I think is the word I'm looking for. It is insanely hot in this kitchen. You guys have no idea what I'm going through right now. Nearly knocked out a tooth. I'm just gonna check on this soup. I think it might be ready to turn off. I'm really just gonna check if the beans are cooked or not. And I'm really, really gonna try not to spill this. Yeah, that's yummy. Beans cooked from dry taste so much better than canned beans. Okay, BRB, I need to ice my tongue because I just burnt it, but. Okay, I'm starving. I'm so ready to eat. There's just one more thing we're gonna do before assembling our salad, serving the soup, and just gorging. So I mentioned that this soup is based on a French vegetable soup that usually is served with a French version of pesto on top. They hand grind it, which I think is how you're meant to do pesto too. And it's just basil, lemon, and garlic, I believe from what I read. But I thought it would be fun to do more herbs in it because like, why not? I love herbs and I think that they just brighten soup so much. So we have some fresh basil from the farmer's market, parsley, and cilantro, all from the farmer's market. I'm just gonna grab like a handful of each maybe. This smells so good. Tastes good too. I will say I've like kind of mild PTSD from the maggots incident. Anytime I see anything kind of maggot shaped, which is a lot of things, you know, because it's just like a white comma, basically. A lot of things kind of look like maggots. Really freaks me out. So yeah, that's just something I'm dealing with. Maybe I'll do a round of EMDR to deal with it. All right, let's grab some cilantro. And I'm gonna add a bit of garlic to this and more Meyer lemon. I do not believe the French use Meyer lemons, but that's their mistake. So I'm gonna do maybe like, I don't know, 3-4 cloves of garlic. Why not? And we'll do the juice of 1 lemon. I have this one that my niece put stickers. She bought it for me. I mean, she didn't buy it for me. She was like a fucking, not even a toddler when this happened, I don't think. My sister-in-law and brother bought it for me and she put stickers all over it for me. How sweet. Now, I've had this mortar and pestle for a while. Pestle. I say pestle, but I think it's pestle, right? Ozzy corrected me once, thank God. You know what? If you ever catch me saying something wrong, please, for the love of God, feel free to message me and tell me, because I really don't know. Like, I'm not standing by pronouncing things incorrectly. Okay, I don't know how to use this. I just have a hard time believing that this is ever gonna turn into a paste. Like, am I doing something wrong? This can't possibly be how people do this. Okay, I feel like we're kind of getting somewhere. Yeah, I give up on this. It is good enough. We're gonna use what we have. Let's move on to the fucking salad, because I'm hungry. So, we have a bunch of really fresh leaves. I have some little gems. I often call these baby gems, but I believe the word is little gem. And inspired by Alice Waters, I believe not even, I don't even know her fucking name, who apparently is my new hero. I believe her signature, like, infamous salad, she doesn't even chop up the greens, which sounds pretty nuts. She just arranges them. And then there's layers of greens and dressing. So we're gonna kind of emulate that a little bit. Now, I do feel like with these two types of radicchio, I feel like something needs to get a bit chopped. Like, I don't think that's gonna work here, especially because this is quite big. I mean, unless I just like make my way into the center, I couldn't do that. I don't think we're ever gonna eat. I feel like I've been doing this episode since the beginning of time. Like, I probably was a toddler when I started, and now here we are. Okay, I know what to do. I don't know why I didn't think of this sooner. There. What an easy solution. Oh, that's so pretty. Yes. Let's get some of the outer leaves off this. This is so pretty. It's called like Rosa Stripe radicchio or something. We're kind of in a great season for radicchio. I believe radicchio rosa is coming back into season soon, which is just a really pretty light pink radicchio. This one's more striped. That one's just like uniformly light pink. It's so pretty. We're also going to do some frisée, which I actually believe is a type of radicchio. And what's really cool about radicchio is the bitter taste. By the way, this is just one massive head of frisée. Like, literally bigger than my fucking head. But yeah, one thing that's really cool about radicchio is the bitter taste actually causes your gut, I guess, your digestive system to secrete, I guess, a bunch of digestive enzymes. So like, basically, in short, radicchio or bitter flavors help your body digest food better. So isn't that cool? Now, I am not doing edible flowers for this because, again, I wanted to keep it really like simple and elegant and clean and, you know, not use too many frills, but instead have the beauty come from the simplicity and the elegance, if that makes sense. That's why I'm using a head of frisée that is the size of my childhood bedroom. All right, I'm gonna add a bit more of this radicchio just to balance out the colors. I think that looks really good. Let's drizzle on some dressing. And I'm gonna add some freshly cracked pepper on top of that. And now for my favorite part of this meal, we have bread. I got sourdough from my favorite bakery. I did not make it myself despite it coming out the oven, but also because of the French theme, I also got their baguette. Now, their baguette does use their sourdough starter discard. I'm not entirely sure which. All right, maybe I'll do the baguette first. Soup, salad, and bread has got to be like the best fucking meal out there. Okay, now something that I think every salad lover has to own is a good set of tongs, because it is the way to get your salad dressed. Also, this bowl is not nearly big enough for all the fucking shit in here, so I'm not even gonna toss it that well. Usually I would do this in a mixing bowl and then serve it here, but we're gonna do it like this today. All right, I'm just gonna fucking eat this. It's not gonna work. And fun fact about me, I like to eat my salads with chopsticks, even when it's not Asian. I just really like holding them. Now this is perfect. I do think you could do 1 to 2 more dates in the dressing if you want it sweeter. And I also think you could do a bit more oil if you want it more creamy. There's a lot of wiggle room, but it's really good. Just gonna take a little piece of bread. This is like my shit. I just can't even put into words how happy this makes me. And we haven't even had the soup yet. I'm so fucking excited to get into that. Okay, as much as I just want to stand here and eat this salad all fucking day long, we're gonna move on to the soup real quick. Oh, this is so heavy. Oh my God. No, I feel like I can skip solid core tomorrow. I feel like I got my workout in. All right, I'm so excited for this. Oh, I know it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it just looks so hearty and rustic and just exactly what we need. Let's add some of this herb thing. I'm also gonna add some just fresh, untouched herbs on top and a little more pepper. I mean, look how hearty and just decadent this looks. Oh, yeah. All right, it's time to taste this soup. I'm so excited. Okay, I've been making a lot of fucking soups. This is one of my favorite ones I've made. In the category of a chunky, rustic tomato-based soup, hands down the best one I've made. And part of what makes it so good is that stupid non-pesto thing that we made. Use a food processor. Don't do what I did. Sometimes the old way is not the best way, okay? You would not walk to Canada, would you? If you live in the US, I mean. I really, really love that. Wait, I want to get a bite with beans in it too. The beans are a very important player in this. And I really do think cooking them from dry, huge effect in this. Okay, this is the meal of my dreams. I'm gonna go sit down with my partner and enjoy this meal, and you will get another recipe from me next week. Love you. Thanks for being here. Bye. You know what? I think that was pretty good. Let's do it a few more times. Hey, sweets.